We are hot. Yes, we are. Mhm. Ha ha. What's going on tonight, guys? How you guys doing? Cameron in the house. Brandon in the house. What up, brother? JJ, what's up, brother? Mm-hmm. Fletch, what's up, yo? What's up, Andrew? How you doing? Mr. Brown in the house. What's up, Darrell? How you doing, brother? Manzi, what's up, my man? Liam, how you doing, brother? All right. Isaiah, what's up? Ian, what's up, brother? Mm-hmm. Hmm. Interesting. What up? What up? Yes, sir. Yes, absolutely. Thanks. Let me get with you guys momentarily. But I like it. Mm-hmm. Instinct. What's up, brother? G. Keegan, what's up, brother? What's up, Jay's World? What up, Keyshawn? Lucas, what's up? Hello, Jillian, dear. And I was at the Heat game on Saturday. I was looking for you. I didn't see you. Mm-hmm. I was there, though. Um, let's see here. Yes, sir. It was a really good one. So I was sitting with a bunch of Philly fans too. I was in section 124, row 17. So I was right there. So I'm going to start the conversation tonight with exactly that. I was at the Heat 76ers game on Saturday, and I got to say that nobody is really talking much about the Miami Heat outside of Miami. And the reason why they aren't talking about the Miami Heat is because there is no real storyline there. This team is comprised of a bunch of really good players. The fact that Bam Adebayo is up for Defensive Player of the Year, and Jimmy Butler is an All-Star, and he's probably going to make the All-NBA team. Kyle Lowry is one of the better floor leaders in the game. Duncan Robinson is arguably one of the best sharpshooters in the game. Tyler Hero is clearly the best bench player in the game. And with all of that being said, there's no real storyline there because there's no star power there. And well, what do you mean star power, OG? There's no James there. There's no Harden there. There's no Giannis. There's no Luka there. There isn't somebody that you can gravitate toward that moves the needle in terms of the NBA. But with all of that being said, they got a damn good team, man. They got a damn good team. And we aren't paying, I'm not going to say we, outside of Miami and South Florida, they aren't paying nearly as much attention to the Miami Heat. And the reason why is because of the storyline. So, they talk about the Lakers because there's drama there. Russ isn't playing as well as Russ should be playing. They don't talk about James. They talk about James more in terms of his play, the fact that he's third in the league in scoring, and they're not very good. Like, that stuff matters. They're talking about Dwight Howard, and they're talking about the Brooklyn Nets, how they fell apart, basically. I mean, they've lost 17 of their last 20. They're talking about Kyrie Irving's availability. And the fact that these two teams were basically tagged to be in the NBA Finals with the Lakers and the Nets, it doesn't help that the other teams that weren't tagged to be in the finals, there's no storyline to them. So that doesn't really help their case, even though even though they should be talked about, a lot of NBA talking heads aren't prepared to talk about Miami. Not because they aren't good. It's just the fact that they're not really prepared to talk about them. When I think about the benches in the NBA, let's see who's got a great bench. Milwaukee's got a great bench. When I think about a great bench, Phoenix has a great bench. Golden State's got a really good bench. I think Memphis has a really good bench. Philly's bench could be better, but they got a good bench. But I don't think any of those teams have a better bench. Have from 6 to 10, I can't see another team that's better than the Miami Heat. In terms of their guys coming off the bench, Strauss, Gabe Vincent, Dedmon, those guys are quality role players. Hero, those guys are quality role players. And when I think about the team that they have, these are storylines that don't really move the needle. The fact that the Miami Heat got a really good bench, or the fact that Tyler Hero is the best six-man in the game. That's not really something that people care about if LeBron James isn't on the team, or James Harden, or Jason Tatum, Luka, Ja Morant. If guys like that aren't around, because Jimmy Butler isn't very interesting. Bam Adebayo isn't very interesting. Are these guys great basketball players? Absolutely they are. I mean, that goes without saying. But they aren't very interesting. The thing about Los Angeles is there's a lot of drama there, right? There's a lot of drama in Los Angeles. Think about New York. There's a lot of drama in New York. That's why these teams are being talked about. Now, should we be talking about the Miami Heat more than we do, primarily because it's basketball? Absolutely. No question about it. They've been the best team in the Eastern Conference, or arguably the best team in the Eastern Conference for quite a while now. They haven't been the best team for the last month or so. They've been the best team in the Eastern, they've been arguably the best team in the Eastern Conference for months. I had them at 4th to start the season. My top 5 teams in the Eastern Conference before the season started was Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Miami, and Boston. So both Philadelphia and Milwaukee are tied for 2nd, and Boston is 5th. Chicago is the surprise team that I didn't have in there. I had Chicago closer to the bottom of the playoff race, and that's primarily because, 1, the East got better, and 2, I was concerned about the kind of team that they were going to be defensively, and that is shown. And they've become decimated by injury. But 4 to 5 teams I had pretty much correct in the Eastern Conference. But the real teams in the Eastern Conference with a storyline are Philadelphia. I mean, James Harden just got traded there. James Harden just got traded to Philadelphia, so that's a big deal. Not only did James Harden just get traded, Embiid is up for league MVP. Giannis is right behind him, with Milwaukee being tied for 2nd in the East. So that's another storyline, with Giannis being on the defending NBA champion Milwaukee Bucks and him winning the Finals MVP. That's a big deal. If you rewind the clock back to the 2020 season, if you rewind the clock back to the 1920 season, what was the storyline during that NBA final between the Lakers and the Miami Heat? Well, the storyline was Miami Heat, they shouldn't have even been there. Like, the Lakers should have swept them. The Lakers are going to sweep them. The Heat are overmatched, because nobody really concerns themselves much with teams that don't have a storyline. And unfortunately, that's how it goes with teams like the Miami Heat. I look at the Utah Jazz as a prime example. I mean, the Utah Jazz had the best record in the NBA last year. They didn't have a good record. They didn't have a great record. They had the best record in the NBA last year. You couldn't care less about what's going on in Utah. And outside of Utah, they couldn't care less what's going on in Utah, because there's no storyline there. Nobody cares that much about Rudy Gobert or Donovan Mitchell. No, nobody's concerning themselves with that. They're just not. So That's my rant to start. That is my rant to start. So and there you have it. Yes, sir. So let's get to the bottom of this Joker taking the lead back. You guys, in order for a team or in order for a guy to win the league MVP, I mean, Denver is in 6th place. He has to do something extraordinary. Joker isn't doing anything extraordinary. Joker is great right now, no question about it. But is Joker really doing something that extraordinary? What is he doing that's extraordinary outside of what Embiid is doing? What is he doing that's extraordinary that's outside of what Giannis is doing? Just so you know, Chris, you know who got the most 25-point games in the NBA? So I'm clear. You know who got that? Do you know who has the most 25-point games this season in the NBA? He is having one of the best seasons of all time. Once again, do you know who has the most 25-point games in the NBA this season? So I'm clear. No, it's not Jill. Nope, Jillian, it's not him. It's not LeBron. Nope. Nope, it's not Embiid neither. It's not DeRozan. It's Giannis, absolutely. We also talking about a guy in Giannis who is right behind Joker in player efficiency. And he's not averaging 14 rebounds. He's close to 14. Absolutely, he is. I think he's second in the league in rebounding. So 26 and 14. And Embiid is averaging. Embiid leads the league in scoring. I think he's fifth or sixth in the league in rebounding. 5th or 6th in the league in rebounding, which is a huge deal. Giannis is 6th in the league in rebounding. He's 2nd in the league in scoring behind James, right? And Giannis is averaging almost 12 boards. So I think he's 5th in the league in rebounding. And his team is better, which is the most important thing. You guys have to understand 100%. The league is not giving you the league MVP if your team is not winning unless you're doing something ridiculous. There's a reason why Russ won it in the 16-17 season. People talk about the fact that he averaged a triple-double. Let's make sure that we remember he did lead the league in scoring that year. I think he was 2nd in the league in assists, something nuts like that. I think it was something ridiculous like that. And he led the league in usage rate. And these are 2 guys. That's it. 2 guys. Him and Jabbar are the only 2 guys in the last 46 years. 46 years to win the league MVP on a team that was 4 or lower. They're the only 2 guys. No other player in the last 50 years has done that. And by the way, the year Jabbar won it in the 75-76 season, I just want to put this on your mind. Jabbar led the league in rebounding. He led the league in blocks. He led the league in field goal percentage. He led the league in minutes. He led the league in PER. He had a higher defensive rating. Jabbar was ridiculous that season, even though they finished 2 games below 500. So when you talk about a guy like Joker, he's got to do something where we're like, we ain't seen this before. We ain't never going to see this again. Ever. A season like this. Ever. I'm glad you mentioned that, Sean. You know why? Because I was at the game Saturday. If you take Embiid off that Philadelphia team, they go to the bottom of the Eastern Conference. Trash. I don't think that they're a bad team. I think they go to the bottom of the Eastern Conference. You take Embiid off of that unit. And that logic right there doesn't hold up because 26, 14, and 8, if you take that off of any team, they're gonna suffer significantly. Just like if you take Embiid 30 and 11 off of Philadelphia, they're gonna be terrible. So that logic does not work. No, it doesn't. Add that to the fact that you're 26, 14, and 8 It's not more valuable than my 28, 11. And by the way, I think Joker is averaging almost 8 assists, and Giannis is averaging 6 assists. So Giannis is 29, second in the league in scoring, 11, almost 12 rebounds, and 6 assists. And we got a better record. We tied for second. So your 26, 14, and 8 is not more valuable than my 28, 11, and 6 on a better team. It's not. That's not my opinion. That's a fact. That's what the NBA bases everything that they're doing on. What is your team's success comprised with what you're doing? So I can appreciate what Joker is doing. If Denver was better, if Denver was a top 3 seed, we ain't having this conversation. We are not. No way are we having this conversation if Denver is better. But Denver isn't. So Joker is going to be in the conversation. He's not winning the league MVP, though. Mm-mm. So, Troy, that must mean that it just changed because of what James did over the weekend and what Giannis did. I mean, Giannis had I think he had 18. He scored 1 point in the second half. He didn't play most of the second half because he got in foul trouble. So I understand that. I absolutely understand that. No doubt about that. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. No doubt about that. Excuse me for 1 second. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was good, Fletch. I did dig that. I absolutely dug that. Mm-hmm. Yo, that's nuts, man. The fact that James and Embiid are that close in terms of scoring, that's nuts. So they basically tied, right? That is crazy. What up, Jeep? What's up, Deep? How you doing, brother? That is nuts to me. No, I don't think Tatum is a ball hog. I don't believe that at all. Mm-mm. I do not believe that at all. Mm-mm. I do not believe that. I think he's going to get it, Troy, before the season's over. 210 points. That's 10 games at 20 a game. That's 10 games at 20. He's going to pass Malone before the season's over. And I think that he'll pass Jabbar. If he doesn't pass Jabbar next season, he'll pass Jabbar within the next 2 years. I'm pretty confident in that. I was actually surprised in that too. I was really surprised with that. I was really surprised at that. But for James to pass Malone to become the second all-time leading scorer in NBA history in less than 20 years, that's nuts to me. That is absolutely nuts. Absolutely insane to me to even think about that. To do that in less than 20 years, that's nuts to me, man. And on top of all of the other stuff that he's done. That's absolutely insane to me, man. Let me tell you. So that's insane to me. Bernard, that doesn't matter. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. And the NBA doesn't care about that neither. The fact that your players are hurt, we don't care about that. That's part of the game. Your best ability is your availability. This is what I mean when I talk about players, not just players being available, the storyline. That does matter. And nobody in the NBA does not care about the fact that your players are hurt if you're winning. So if the Denver Nuggets were a top 3 seed like they were last year when they lost Jamal Murray, you could care less about the fact that they're hurt. You wouldn't be mentioning that at all. But the fact that they are where they are, and the fact that they aren't as good as they were last year. Now, well, they're hurt. Let's not forget Jamal Murray was out half the season last year. Half of the season he was gone. So that stuff matters. And that stuff absolutely matters. And the fact that you bringing up him being hurt, those players being hurt, the NBA voting process, they don't care about that. I'm going off of what I've seen over the course of my life. And they don't care about that. They don't. They do not. Malone played 20 years. Mm-hmm. Played 19 years in Utah, and he played 1 year for the Lakers. Mm-hmm. They are only a game and a half off of Philly, but that still puts them in sixth place. That still puts them in sixth place. Sixth. So your team, your conference being, and I can't really say that your conference is tougher, because when I think about it, I'm looking at Phoenix. Phoenix is this. It's Phoenix, Golden State, then everybody else. Then everybody else. The Eastern Conference is a little bit more bunched up. Just a little bit more bunched up. With Chris Paul, when he was healthy, they had almost a 7-game lead in the West. That Eastern Conference, the entire season, none of those teams had a none of those teams at the top. Chicago, Miami, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, none of those teams had a lead more than 2 games at any point. None of them did. So the East is definitely more competitive. Definitely more. I'm going to watch that game too, Philly and the Bulls tonight. That should be a good one, no doubt. I think Murray will be back this season. I do think that. I think Murray will be back this season. So, and I do know that Memphis overtook, my fault. I do know that Memphis overtook Golden State for the 2 spot, which leads me to my next point of Ja Morant winning the league MVP. The fact that Memphis is where they are, he's absolutely in the conversation. And he's in the conversation, I'm not going to say more than Joker, but the knock on him is that they've been winning without him. That's the problem. But that was a while ago. That was a while ago. Since he's been in the lineup, even though he did miss a month, I think the same thing happened to James Harden in the 17-18 season. I think James Harden missed the first couple of weeks of the season. He didn't miss a month like Ja did, but he did miss the first couple of seasons. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. I do think Murray will be back this season, though. Yeah, I do think that. I do think that if there's, I don't see him. I can't put him in the same category with Leonard because the Clippers aren't that good. I'm looking at Denver, and I mean, I think that they're better than the Clippers. And Jamal Murray, he tore up his knee way before Leonard did. He tore up his knee in the middle of the season. Leonard tore up his knee at the end of the season in the playoffs. So I look at his logic, and I'm thinking, I think that he'll be back. So I'm not a huge March Madness guy. I wish I could say I was, but I'm more of a pro basketball guy. I've always been. No, Renard, we're not moving Jamal Murray. Well, first of all, Portland isn't doing that. No. I'm not moving Jamal Murray for Damian Lillard. No, I'm not doing that. Mm-mm. We need draft picks because if I'm moving Damian Lillard, that means we're starting over. And if I'm starting over, I don't know how good Jamal Murray is. He may be damaged goods, and I'm not moving Damian Lillard for somebody that's possibly damaged goods. No, I'm not doing that. Mm-mm. Mm-mm, not at all. trade LeBron, that could be something that could be bad, man. That could be real bad to trade him. Because I think that's bad karma. I really do, yo. I understand his business, but I just think that that's bad karma to move off of this dude like that. And I think that it could be something that could be detrimental to these dudes in the future. Now, moving off them other dudes, all right, I can get with that logic. But him, I just, for some reason, feel like that's just bad energy. I don't want to do that, man. Good, James. How you doing, brother? Real good. Yes, sir. No, JJ. Mm-mm. Run it back. We can't run it back, JJ. No way. Can we run it back with this same group? Mm-mm. We can't run it back with this group. Mm-mm. No. Now, I think Murray's a little bit better than that because he doesn't have any history of injury. I mean, Derrick Rose started breaking. We still have to see, though, Sean. We still got to see if Jamal Murray is going to be. We got to see it. 1 second, Jillian. We got to see if Jamal Murray is going to be able to hold up. That's why I think that this season he'll be back just to prove that he could still hold up. Just like what happened with Klay Thompson this season. I didn't anticipate Klay Thompson being elite or anything like that. And it's showing. It's showing how Klay Thompson is right now. I just saw him this season as a guy who wants to prove that I can still hold up. Now, I think next year, I think he'll be much better because now he's gotten that bug off of him and he's got that part of that season under his belt. I no doubt about that. So, Jillian, I do think that Westbrook is gone after next season. I do think not after next season. And the reason why I think he's gone is because he won't get traded. I don't think he'll get traded in the beginning. I think he will get traded at some point next season, whether it's at the deadline or at some point during the season, because he's got an expiring contract, and expiring contracts always look good to teams, always. So especially if he's continuing to play like he's playing. You know, for him to say, I didn't have any expectation. I don't disagree with it. I'm trying to understand where that's even coming from. Russ, so you telling me you didn't have any expectation coming into this season. So the logic is, well, this is my fourth team in 4 years. So, I don't really have any expectation. Then what you doing here then? There's a reason why they brought you in here. They brought you in here because they thought that they could win it. So if you're going to be here, you can't come in here with, well, we'll just see what happens. No, that's not going to work. No way is that going to work. No way. No way. So I dig Cam Johnson, man. I'm digging Cam Johnson, and I think he's going to be huge for Phoenix moving on in their title run. Oh, I love that. Absolutely, I did. I love him. Absolutely. No doubt about it. That just, to me, it doesn't make any sense. None whatsoever, Lucas. The fact that he didn't have any expectation, because you absolutely did, man. Sure you did. Sure. You guys talked about before the season started what we could possibly do. Don't sit there and tell me that you were coming into the season like, yo, we just going to see what happens. We just rolling with it. No. Before you got there, you and James, you and AD, you guys sat down and talked about, yo, this is what we could do this year. This is what I'm expecting us to do. With you doing this and me doing this, I'm pretty sure that there was a conversation like that went on. So the idea that you're trying to sell me, nah, I'm good. Mm-mm. Who was a better second option? Middleton. Because Middleton's been consistent in what he's done. So Jrue Holiday, I mean, what you saw on Sunday, I mean, he went for 17 in the fourth quarter. You think that you're going to get that on the regular from him? Now, I've seen Middleton in in the bubble in Miami, go for 40. I've seen him take over a game in the Eastern Conference Championship as a number 2. I've seen that. And so there is some consistency there. And not only is there some consistency there, I've seen him do it on a regular basis. I've seen Jrue Holiday be a good number 2, but I don't think he's a better number 2 offensively than Middleton. I don't. You can make the argument that Joker is better than Dirk. You could definitely make that argument because he does more. He's a better rebounder than Dirk. He's a better facilitator than Dirk. He's a better playmaker than Dirk. I think he's a better defensive player than Dirk too. I think Dirk is a better athlete. I think Dirk shoots the long ball a little bit better. I think Dirk is a better shot creator. I don't think Dirk is a better overall offensive player than Joker. I do not think that. So if I'm thinking about one of those guys, what I haven't seen from Joker is I haven't seen you throw a team on your back and take them to the promised land. I haven't seen that. So until I see that, I'm going with the champion. So we can get with that. We could get with that logic about Joker being better than Dirk. Until I see Joker throw a team on his back and take him to the promised land, I'm going with the champion. So Liam, I eat neither. I'm vegan, my good man. So, well, James is 56. Listen, man. Let's be 100% clear, Ian. Anything that James does moving forward, you know how I feel about James. So, all of this stuff that you see him doing, being second in the league in scoring, going up for 56, right? All of this stuff that you see him doing, that's just adding to the legend for me. I already feel like he's the best player that I've ever seen. I already feel like that. He's the best that I've ever seen. So all of this stuff that he does moving forward, all it's doing is adding to the legend. If he were to win another NBA championship, that's not going to stamp it for me to go, yo, he's the best player to ever do it. If he wins another scoring title, if he wins another league MVP, I'm already there. So anything that he does moving forward, that's where I'm at with it. That's just adding to the legend. So well, I'm glad you mentioned that, Irv, because what we have to do is we got to establish, because James said, I don't care where it is in terms of Bronny coming out. All right. He said he doesn't care where it is, but can we be realistic? James is not putting on a Detroit Pistons jersey. He's not putting on an Oklahoma City jersey. He's not putting on a New Orleans jersey, right? He's not putting on a Minnesota Timberwolves jersey. He's not putting on a Portland Trailblazer jersey. He's not doing that. The logic that, yo, I don't care where he get drafted. No, let's save that. Let's save that for somebody else who's actually listening, because I'm not buying that logic. No way is James putting on a Sacramento Kings jersey. He's not doing that. No, it's not happening. So I definitely think that absolutely, Zay, there's no way he's putting on an Orlando Magic jersey. He's not doing that. No. They'll work it out where they could get him somewhere that's desirable for both parties. For both parties. You know, he ain't putting on an Indiana jersey. No, he's not doing that. So Bronny's one of those guys who Bronny's going to have to go to school, right? Bronny's going to have to go to school, and in the process of him going to school, he's going to pick the right school, no doubt about that. I don't know how long he's going to stay, 1 year, and he's going to be gone. But I do think it's going to be orchestrated where he plays. I do think it's going to be orchestrated where he plays somewhere that's desirable for him and his father. There's no way that LeBron James is putting on a Charlotte Hornets jersey. He's not. So let me make sure I'm getting. Can you imagine the storyline that the GOAT debate is between Jordan and James, and now James works for Jordan? Are you kidding me? There's no way that that's going on. No way. Mm-mm. I'd throw up seeing him in the Mavs Celtics Warriors jersey for obvious reasons. Yeah, absolutely. He'll go back to Cleveland. Ian. He would do that. No doubt about that. No way. There's no way he's doing that in Charlotte. You're right. Nope. So, the reason why he should care in his last season, Sauce, is the same reason why Jordan would like to erase those last 2 years in Washington. If Jordan could go back in time, you think he would have put on a Washington Wizards jersey? Of all the teams, knowing what Jordan knows today, you think he would have put on a Washington Wizards jersey? He only put that jersey on pending him being an owner, him being able to be bought into the team. That's the only reason why he went to play there. There's no way he's playing there otherwise. None. No other reason why he would play there. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. So, with that being said, like I said, I look at James and it's gonna work. It's gonna work somewhere where it's desirable for all parties, not just I'm just happy that my son's in the league. No way. There is no modern day Oscar Robertson. None. There's nobody like Oscar Robertson in the NBA today. Nobody. I'm trying to understand the logic of. I'm going to get with you in a second, Jillian. I'm trying to understand the logic of why Oscar Robertson and Russell Westbrook are being compared. Because outside of the triple-double, Oscar Robertson was a better overall player than Russell Westbrook. He was more efficient. He was smarter. He was better. So I don't understand where the comparison goes outside of that triple-double. So you think James is underappreciated as a scorer? Absolutely. James thinks so. He said this. His name is brought up when people – absolutely. He's absolutely underappreciated. Well, let me ask you this question, Ian. When you think about the better scorers in the game, not just in the game today, but in NBA history, do you think about LeBron James? And if you don't, who do you think about when you think about the better scorers in the game? Who do you think about? Right. I do. I think about James as absolutely. I got James as a top 5 scorer. Absolutely. Jordan, Bryant, Jabbar, Malone, Durant, George Gervin, guys like that. So people don't think about James as a great scorer. But when I see a guy who for 18 years averaged 25 a game for 18 straight years, how can you not say that this dude is not a great scorer? How? What is the logic on that? That this dude is not a great scorer? Well, Doc, you already know how I feel about Jason Tatum. You already know how I feel about him. And I made a post about it earlier that Jason Tatum is my favorite player. He's my favorite player under 25. And I think that in the next 2 years, he's going to be in the conversation as the best player in the game. I'm confident in that. I think he's going to be in the league MVP conversation, and I think he's going to be, and I think he's going to be in the conversation as the best player in the game in the next 2 years. No doubt about it. Mm-hmm. Dirk is definitely in that conversation, Mag. I don't think he's a better scorer than Bryant or Malone, Durant, Jordan, James, but Dirk is definitely in that conversation. No doubt about it. No doubt. Mm-hmm. See, Chris, I don't, that logic right there, I don't buy that neither. He said he doesn't play to score. Yes, he does. Because if he didn't, then he wouldn't score nearly as much. He wouldn't shoot nearly as much. You know who doesn't play to score? Stockton. He doesn't play to score. Um, Guys who don't play to score. The only guy that I can think of is Stockton. These are guys who don't play to score. I'm a facilitator first. You know, Magic could score, but he was a facilitator first. Right? Rondo doesn't play to score. That's a good one, absolutely. Nash didn't really play to score. Nash was like 17, 18, right? Ben Simmons, Chris, those are guys, absolutely. James absolutely plays to score. When you average almost 30 a game for your career, stop minimizing you not being the scorer. Because when you do that, I think the prime reason why he's doing that, is because of the tag that it gets. That, you're a ball hog. You don't pass enough. You don't get off the ball as much. When in reality, yes, he does. But I can score the basketball just as well, if not better. If not better. So, I don't buy that logic. I don't look to score. When you averaging almost 30 a game for your career, nah, I'm good. Uh-uh. You're absolutely looking to score. You're not scoring by accident. Like, well, I guess I got to shoot. No, I'm pretty confident that there were games when James came out going, I'm going for 40 tonight. I'm giving him 40 tonight. He getting the business tonight. I'm confident in that. So that's funny, Ian. James is a byproduct of Magic and Jordan. That's great. No. Um, I'm confident that he's come out. I'm confident he came out plenty of times and before the game has said that I'm giving this dude. I got it going tonight. I'm giving him 40. I'm giving this dude 30. Or I got to match whatever this guy's doing. He's gonna give us 35. I got to match that production. I'm sure that he's said that. No doubt about it. He is about making the right play, right? He is about that. But if the right play is for him to score, it can't be sometimes when I'm averaging almost double what I average in assists or triple what I average in assists. It can't be that. No, you're not selling me that one, my man. Mm-mm. James averages 7 assists for his career. He averages 27 a game. That's almost 4 times. That's almost 4 times what he averages as a distributor. The right play isn't sometimes scoring. Sounds to me like the right play is sometimes the pass. That's what it sounds like to me. That's what I can get with right there, Mark. I can definitely get with that logic right there, what you're talking about. And that's not a knock on neither of those guys because we hear a lot, James is a passer who can score. Flip that around. James is a scorer who passes, which is very unique because you don't have a lot of guys that score the basketball that pass at an efficient rate. James, Oscar, Bird, Chamberlain, Magic, right? You don't have a lot of guys, Curry. You don't have a lot of guys who can do that. You don't. So that's what I classify. James is a scorer who can pass, and he's really good at it. He's definitely not a passer who can score, because if he passed more, he'd average more assists. I did see that James was a scratch tonight. I was a hip hop and R&B fan. I was a big Mary J. Blige guy, Jodeci, R. Kelly, New Edition, Bobby Brown, Biggie Smalls, Rakim, KRS-One, Nas, uh, Slim Shady. But as a kid, Rick James, Evelyn Champagne, the OJs. I felt like I had the OJs coming out of my ears because my mother, she had them dudes on blast. Every time I turned around, the OJs was on in the house. It was nuts, man. I felt like I knew these dudes, how much the OJs was on in the house so much. I swear. Because my mother absolutely loved these dudes. Them dudes, Luther Vandross. So that's the music that was going on in my house. Now, like today, I don't really listen to a lot of people today. I dig Drake though. Drake is dope. I dig Drake. What's the chick who did the song with Pop was dope too, by the way. But what's the chick who did the song with Lil Baby? Is her name Dua? She's dope too. I like her. Mm-hmm. Dua, yeah, that's her name. Yep. I think it'd be worse, Irv. And the reason why it would be worse, Irvin, is because they basically ran him out of town and he stomped his way out of there. So for him to come back, especially playing, it's not like he's coming back with Sacramento or, a team that's not really relevant. He's coming back with, he's coming back with a playoff team in Brooklyn. So they're looking at him like he's absolutely the enemy, which is why they're not throwing him out there next week. What's today? What is today? Today is the 7th. You think they throwing him out there Thursday against Philadelphia? No way. Absolutely not. No way are they throwing him out there. No. So you haven't given me a satisfactory answer on why Embiid is not the MVP. Why is Embiid not the MVP? Who is the league MVP and why is Embiid not the league MVP? That's what I'd like to know. Who is? And what are you basing this on? The logic of him dropping 150. What is the reason why? Because he could very well go out tonight and go 30-13 in 3 blocks and they win. So once again, and by the way, don't leave out that Heat game that they played on Saturday night, that was a back-to-back. They had Cleveland the night before. And it's interesting that you didn't mention that. Very interested that you did not mention that. And I wonder why you didn't mention that. Mm-hmm. Nah, Tweaks. No way should Bron be the league MVP. Nah, brother. You still haven't told. So you think just because it's James Harden, that's why he's not winning it? Nah, that ain't good enough. No, Joker does not have it on lock, Midas. No, he does not. Mm-mm. I can't wait for this league MVP to come out because I've already told you guys what the criteria is. And unless the Denver Nuggets move up substantially, Joker is not winning the league MVP. substantially. I am very interested to see who the league MVP is. DeRozan absolutely could be it, Lehman, no doubt about it. I've said, I'm on record saying this. I've already said it. I still think it's Giannis's league MVP to lose, and I still stand on that. So, and the way he's been playing up until just yesterday, Ja's in that conversation, Giannis is in that conversation, Embiid, Joker. So I'm very interested to hear that. Good to see you, Liam. No doubt, brother. I don't need to check the dang list. Joker is not in first place. We're on a 6th seed. That's not happening, my man. The last 6th seed to do it was Russell Westbrook, and he had an astronomical season. He had a season that we haven't seen. He had a season that we hadn't, which is why the NBA screwed up, and we haven't seen anybody do that since what happened with Russell Westbrook. The year that Russell Westbrook won the league MVP, it was based on the fact that he averaged a triple-double. Even though the guy who averaged a triple-double over 50 years before he did that didn't win the league MVP, right? Did not win the league MVP. The league said, yep, we screwed this up. Compound that with the fact that Russell Westbrook went on to average a triple-double 3 more times. So they absolutely screwed that up. He absolutely screwed that up. So I don't care about the NBA.com. We don't care about that. I could care less about that. They haven't gotten it right all the time. They didn't have Joker winning it last year. So I don't care about that. I could care less. I couldn't care less about that. I couldn't. Has there been a closer MVP race? That's a tough one, my man, because when I think about the MVP races in the past, I think about there have been clear-cut favorites. And in this particular instance, I don't think there's a clear-cut favorite. I don't think that there's a guy where you're going, this guy is winning it, and there's no question about it. This guy is winning it, and there's no question about it. This guy is winning it, and there's no question about it. So, with that being said, you could definitely make the argument that this is one of the closest league MVP races that we've seen in a long time, yo. In a long time. No, I'm not. And it's interesting you mentioned that too, Sauce, because I got a question for you. Is Batman even a superhero? Because I'm having a difficult time with that. I don't think he is. Him, Iron Man, or Captain America. So we can dead that logic right now. And you not either, Midas. You ain't the NBA. So what you talking about? You talking like I'm the one who's determining it. You asking me who the league MVP is, and I'm giving you facts based on history. That's what I'm giving you. I'm not giving you just my opinion. I'm giving you facts based on history. So I don't think Tatum is in the MVP race this year. Boston ain't good enough, and he started off. He was this season. He wasn't solid. He was one of those guys who was here, then here, then here, then here, then here. So he wasn't as solid. So that's why he's not in the MVP race. So well, what we got to get to the bottom of is what is the criteria for superhero? Don't you have to have some sort of superhuman ability to be a superhero? Don't you have to have some sort of mortality to be a superhero? If I'm not mistaken. Because if that's the criteria, that eliminates Iron Man, that eliminates Captain America, and that eliminates Batman. Iron Man and Batman are just rich guys with gadgets. Captain America is a dude on steroids. No superhuman ability whatsoever. So yes, sir. That's correct. Braun is a ninth seed. And let me ask you this, Arian. Aryan. Is it Aryan? Aryan, not Arian. Aryan. Let me ask you this. Is I ridiculous to think that Brooklyn in the play-in tournament could get bounced and not make the playoffs? Am I ridiculous for thinking that? Because I'm looking at this Brooklyn team, and we're talking about a one-game playoff, right? We're talking about a one-game playoff. Is it ridiculous for me to think that they could lose to Charlotte, they could lose to Atlanta in a one-game playoff? Well, if they're the eight, well, you figure if they're the eighth seed, then what are they, the ninth seed? That means that they would have to see Atlanta. That means Atlanta got to come to Brooklyn. That means no Irv, right? That's the only way that works, Fletch. You're absolutely right. That means no Irv. Rick RDOT, what do you mean two chances? If they lose, they out. So if they're the eight, so if they play the 9-10 game, if they lose, they're out. That's it. So I hope that's not the case, though, Mark. I really do. Even though you haven't seen them with their full squad all year, so you don't know what kind of chemistry they have. You don't know what kind of continuity they have, and you're talking about one game. You're 100% convinced that they could do it. Yeah. All right. What do you mean? Where do I think Russ will end up? Do I think in terms of him getting traded or in the all-time conversation? What do you mean? Where do I think he'll end up? So I haven't really seen Shea play that much, man. I haven't. And the reason why I haven't seen him play that much because Oklahoma City's not on TV a lot. They're not. I saw him play a little bit with the Clippers, and he was still in the developmental stages, but I don't really see him a lot in Oklahoma City because they're not on TV a lot. Oh, I don't see Russ getting traded to a contender. I can tell you that. I don't see that because there's going to be too much that has to happen in order for him to be traded to a contender. And there's not a team or a contender that's going to give up that much because there's nobody on a contender that's giving up something straight up for Russell Westbrook, which means that you're going to have to it's going to have to be a 3-team deal or a 4-team deal, something like that. And nobody's breaking the bank to get Russell Westbrook on their crew right now. You're not doing that. Can't see it. Can't see it. Maybe I'll do that. I'm glad you mentioned that, Midas. Harden's body doesn't break down in the playoffs. It's already Harden is a guy who he gets hurt throughout the year, and then it just gets compounded when the playoffs start. And the reason why it gets compounded is because teams they can scheme specifically for you. They know what you do. James Harden is a guy who pounds the basketball. James Harden is a guy who's a one-on-one player. James Harden is a guy who keeps the defense in front of him. That's easy to scheme against when it's a playoff series. It's not that difficult to scheme against when you're going throughout the season, because we in Minnesota tonight, and then we're in Milwaukee 2 nights later, and then 2 nights after that, we're in Indiana. But if I'm the Brooklyn Nets, or if I'm the Miami Heat, and for this entire week, all we have to do is focus in on you and what you like to do, what you don't like to do, what happens to you as the game goes on, how you pick your spots, where you pick your spots, when you start to lag, when you start to slow down, when you try to get going. When we can plan for that, it's completely different. And add that to the fact that they push him and they push him. The playoffs are way more intense, which is why, and this isn't news. This isn't news. This is who James Harden is. So, you know, it is true, Mal. He does have to do that. He's got to be in a system that's built around him. Only except nobody's doing this. Nobody's doing that at this juncture of his career. It's just not happening. I can't see it. Can't see it. Yeah, Douglas. I don't see anybody to say that they just gonna walk right past Atlanta in a 1-game playoff like it's nothing. No, I'm good. Thanks, Connor. I appreciate you, brother. Well, the reason why they're doing that, Chris, is because Harden hasn't had a guy, a big in particular, that's a pick and pop guy like that, that's a pick and dive guy like that can take the ball off the backboard and go with it, like Embiid. He hasn't had a guy who he can go to on the box for buckets. That enhances his playmaking. That makes him even better as a playmaker, because he got a guy that he can go to offensively, who's efficient, that he doesn't just have to set up, because now that's an even bigger threat for him. So there's a reason why it's working early, because he never had nobody like that. And on the flip side to that, Embiid never had nobody like James Harden either. The question that I have, and I've said this before, excuse me, and I've said this before, and that is, can Embiid hold up? Can Harden hold up? Because there's no evidence to prove otherwise. You haven't shown me over the last 5, 6, 7 years. You have not shown me that once the playoffs start, you got the goods. You have not. I'd like to know that too, Ryan. I'm very interested to know that. No, I don't think that the Heat would be the favorites with Mitchell Robinson. No, I do not think that. It is Sauce. from from uh, from Capella, or what's the big guy that played in Brooklyn? Why do I keep forgetting his name? Thin dude, backup. He plays backup to Andre Drummond. Claxton. I keep forgetting his name. I don't know why I keep forgetting Claxton's name. Claxton. So to go from Claxton to Embiid, stop playing, man. That's like going from the 3rd floor in the building to the penthouse. I think the same thing I expected from Klay Thompson. The same thing I expect if Jamal Murray gets out there, just to show that I can still hold up. Not necessarily to play at an elite level, just to show that I can hold up. That's the most important thing. if he could show that he could hold up, then he could be an integral part of what they're doing. Huge. He could be an integral part to what they're doing, no doubt. Mm-hmm. Yes. And on top of that, Douglas, what it also did, not just ball dominant, what it did was, as good as he was, it I'm forced is not the word that I'm going to use. It it enhances James's decision to play off of him because he was so good, as opposed to I got to set him up. And no, this dude is so good, I can play off of him, and that made James's job so much. So it made James's job less difficult. It made James's job easier than it already was, and way less difficult than it would have been had he not been on the floor. Way less difficult. So, what up, Stars? How you doing, brother? Yes. I used to be a fan of a particular team, but these guys, they move around so much, kind of, that I follow players more than I did in the past. And I mention that because, when I was growing up, I knew Doc was going to be on the Philadelphia 76ers for a lot of years when they drafted Barkley. I knew he was going to be in Philly for a lot of years. I knew that Magic was going to be in Los Angeles for a lot of years. I knew that Bird was going to be in Boston when the Bulls got Jordan. I knew he was going to – these guys stuck around when the Lakers got Shaq. And I knew Kobe Bryant was going to be with the Lakers for a lot of years. This wasn't something that I thought, in 2 years, Bryant's going to be gone or Shaq's going to be gone in 3 years. No. So these guys, they move around so much, man, that it's difficult to just follow one team. So I'm definitely more of a player. I follow players more than I do teams nowadays. Mm-hmm. Supersonics and Thunder are completely different teams. So if you talk about the Supersonics, Dennis Johnson, Gary Payton, Jack Sikma, Downtown Freddie Brown, Shawn Kemp. I can't. I still haven't gotten a satisfactory answer on that, neither, about Gasol. I still haven't. I have not gotten a satisfactory answer on that. Mm-hmm. So, yep, it's about that time. So, all right, guys, it's about that time for me. It's today Monday. Yeah. Um, it was good to see y'all, and I will be back on soon. Um, we're getting to the crux and the meat and potatoes of the season, and the playoffs is about to start. So this is good stuff, man. This is good stuff, and it's great to see you guys. So we'll do this real soon. But until then, take it light. Take it.